body needs to move over like this as he's moving forward.
What the problem is with him that we're trying to get him to move slow down and going too fast.
So what are you doing about it?
After
The other two they mentioned was
we stop and try it a little bit.
Good. So stopping at the beginning of the obstacle is one way to help establish the slowness. It helps take speed away, reduce speed away. And now I'm going to fix his face. Always do that before I ask him to go, right? Okay. Then I close my legs. His hip went right, I close my right leg. Now I take my left leg away. I close my right leg, his head come up. See how he's moving sideways and forward. Get where he's not paying attention. So right here, where I'm having to take a hold of him quite a bit to get him to pay attention. See my hands side to side. Head comes up, I keep going side to side. Till he will guess to put that head down. And he knows he's in trouble. When that head comes down, then I give to him. My range is short enough that I can get into his face and take my hands forward and get out of his face. If he wants to run off, I say no. Bend him around. Make my new approach. This is one of the hardest exercises, sitting here.
Yeah, didn't like just to sit around and be bored all day.
So how do you create
Nice.
this habit of being slow? It's kind of like having patience. How do we get patience?
Maybe we stop and pet him just for a little while and train a little
Something we kind of have to practice. As humans, we're really not born with patience, nor is the horse. And so, you know, taking time out here, step over one, wait. My dad used to say, this sounds really terrible, because I was about your age. Actually, I was about 14. What are you, like 12?
Yeah, I'm 12, 13.
Okay. I was about 14 when my dad first suggested me smoking. Now that sounds terrible, doesn't it? But he'd say, go do something, now sit there and have a cigarette. Well, I never smoked, unless I drank too much. Okay? You're not there, I know. I hope. So, but I am in the habit of chewing gum. So I'll go do something, and then I'll just sit here and I'll chew my gum. Okay? Well, I've got a friend up in Roseburg, Oregon. He does clinics. And he does a lot of 4-H and young kids clinics. And he says, go have a cookie. Well, what youngster doesn't like cookies, huh? Go do something and sit and have a cookie. Okay? So now when he's telling Mama to do this, go have a diet cookie. Or just in your mind, imagine eating the chocolate chips out of a cookie. Okay? Because what woman do you know that's not on a diet? You know? Her? Okay. So
It's
we
showing.
do something, and then we sit here. He's not pulling on me. Looked off there, I'll just pull him back. And we sit here. Patience is something I have a lot of, and I don't know where I come up with it, other than my dad telling me when I was young, to just go sit. Do something, then go sit. Does that make sense to you, hon?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're teaching that horse patience. by setting. Oh, he wanted to keep going. That really makes me want to set. He's not the boss of me. So here's a terrible reality. A horse is a reflection of the rider. Okay? Whoa.
Right, I'm gonna go bring some water, but
Okay. Well, they don't like unevenness, so it's not surprising that he moves his feet a little bit.
But he's cocking his right back foot, so I think he's relaxed, right?
Okay.
It's pretty
I don't
relaxed.
feel him pulling on me. I'm just sitting here. It's like I'm unemployed.
Where's your welfare check?
I want to go walk. I'm going to get a hold of his face. He should give his face every time I pick up. Remember that preparatory cue.
Okay.
It's almost like a greeting. Hey Joe, we're getting ready to go do something. Now he's going to want to go left, so I'm going to stop him here and push his body to the right. So he would go left here because that's the open side. He would not choose to do this. But my being around horses, I knew what he was going to predict.
him.
See where how I'm getting straight, clear out
yeah,
here.
text this morning. So you want to play babies?
Start making my approach way or
Sign me up.
get his face. This is a back through. Notice on these logs, one sticks out more than the other. When I turn this one, like this, so we're already partially there because I chose the long side as my guide rail. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, so.
Now I can kind of look down at that pole and pretty much predict that I'm going in a straight line. A little bit to the right, close my right leg and the hip. This one's set up to move the hip to the right. So here I'm going to pick up on the left rein, close my left leg, and push that hip over. Get that hip to come through the opening. Get over.
We've had trouble trying to do this.
I've been cueing him with, but I really have to pull my foot back,
Yeah.
trying to practice with that.
Get that hip over more. There you go. So I put my toe down and drew that spur rowel up into his ribcage. Because the tapping wasn't doing any good. So it's like this. When I did that, my toe goes down and my spur comes right up in his ribcage. And that creates more of their try than poking. Poking's almost an aggravation. So I'm going to take him back to that spot and I'm going to push his hip over to the left.
That's important. He's a little chubby when she came out here before.
Now here, I'm going to move that foot back.
Nice.
Good.
Good boy.
A lot more of a try. Now I'm going to push his hip back to the right and then back on through there.
Yeah.
So there's more than one way to go through this obstacle. With your hip.
Yeah.
Good boy.
Well, that's like the one we have
Now,
up here too.
here, I'm going to say move your shoulder left.
Which I did.
Right leg goes in the number one position
And
and the shoulder moves over.
they gave them to us because
And I watch my
they have
pole,
too many passengers and stuff.
I go back.
How we survive. He's diabetic.
So a guide to tell you when to move the hip over is our foot.
He can actually bend his neck now.
Okay. when I sit right here, I know that basically my heel is the middle of his belly. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So as I'm backing through there, when my heel gets about to where you're standing, I stop and I'll push their hip around.
Okay, that makes sense now.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't have to keep looking back all the time.
Mhm.
Because, you know, if he can feel a fly,
Yeah.
why would he not throw his body when I turn around like this? Because I'm getting him off center, aren't I?